Cool then. Hey everyone, welcome again. We are so excited to have you join us today for our webinar on building effective product stories. Both the cute pictures you are seeing, it was entirely Vipul's idea. So I hope when his turn come, he will explain what is the reason why he forced me to uh, add my picture like this. But by saying that, thank you so much again for joining. As we were discussing, whether you are in your office, home, maybe in the gym,
Or in the gym.
from wherever you, yeah, wherever from wherever you are joining, thank you so much. We are happy to have you here. uh, we have an engaging and informative session planned ahead, packed with insights and practical tips to help you craft compelling product stories that resonate with your audience. But before we dive, I think as usual, some of the folks who are joining us for the first time, very important that me and Vipul tell tell them who we are and why we are doing it. So Vipul, over to you.
Sure. So first, I will defend myself against the vicious slander. I didn't force Varun to do anything. I sent him a WhatsApp saying, "Hey, send me a childhood photo," and he sent it. There was no protest or anything. So he's just making it up, and he's telling bad stories at this point. But leaving that aside, hi, I'm Vipul Nanda. I'm a director of product marketing at Cash Free Payments. Uh, Product marketing has come somewhat late into my professional life. Like I think only about the last 2.5 years of my career have been into product marketing, but it's very close to my heart and I've enjoyed every minute of it. And through the time that I've been doing this, I have continually tried to learn more about this very interesting type of work, but I haven't always found the right kind of resource which is useful for us. And meeting Varun as a colleague at Cash Free Payments and understanding that he was a kindred soul who was also interested in figuring out and learning more. We started this activity to try to bring as many of you folks together so that we could all learn as a community on how we can be more effective product marketers, which is why we're here, which is why all of you are here on a Wednesday evening. And yeah, that's it about me, Varun.
Thank you so much, Vipul. About me, I'm from Surat, Gujarat, currently living in Bangalore. I did my engineering, and after that, I started my own company called Icon Scout. Over there, I was handling marketing end to end. Company got acquired after 5 years of running it, and after that, I joined the Cash Free Payments with Vipul. Currently, I am handling international payments at Cash Free. Can we go to next slide, Vipul? Yes. So before we discuss what is the topic for today, just to give you brief idea about what is GoPMM. So I think people has already mentioned that the entire idea is of bringing the different product marketeers from India into one single platform. While we were speaking to different marketeers, product marketeers plus digital marketeers, one gap me and people both realize is that there is not enough understanding about the charter, and at the same time, people want to know more about it and they're not able to find right resources. So to bridge that gap, we decided to start this GoPMM community. We are still taking baby steps, but one really good thing, and me and people both are proud about it, is it's been only a month, I think. On 14th of May, we did our first webinar, and in 1 month, we already have 300 members in our WhatsApp group. So thank you so much, everyone who is already part of it. And every single day, we are seeing that there are different kind of conversations which is going on in the group chat. So please keep that going. And we are so happy that our mission was growing together. It is not only about me and Vipul, and we will be answering every single question. But what we are seeing is people are helping each other, with different things, not only about job, but whenever they are having trouble with any of the question regarding product marketing and what Aishwarya started today. I think that that is something going to be really helpful for everyone. So thank you so much again. And coming back to today's session, it's our webinar 3 on our 4 webinar part series. In first webinar, we discuss about basics of product marketing, where we walk you through what is function of product marketing and where in the organization we sit. In second webinar, we discuss about market insights and research, where we got idea about how to do competitive research, how to do market research, market analytics, and everything. And finally, in today's webinar, which is a very interesting one, where we'll be discussing about powerful storytelling. We will include likes of how you define your value proposition, how you define your final messaging, and so on and so forth. Can we go to next slide, people? Yes, so this is the agenda for the session. I think I already spoken about what we are going to speak today. I think as usual, after we discuss about all the topics, finally we will have Q&A session. Today we don't have any breakout room session, but we will definitely like to take your question here and your feedback as well. So without wasting any time, people, over to you. We can start now.
All right, so folks, I think it's always interesting to start with understanding where things could go wrong or looking at a few examples of where things are done well or not done well. So, first, I'm just going to show you what was an actual marketing copy tagline for a brand. And this was recent, this is in the last decade. Any thoughts on why this may or may not have worked? This is very tone deaf for this social kind of scenario. It was something that was universally disliked. The expectation and the way the brand was trying to talk about this tagline was that you can do unexpected things like have Arnold Schwarzenegger at a rock concert, but just the sheer words and how they were messaging it led to lots of problems. Any guesses about what this brand was? This is a beer brand in the US, well known for actually being bad beer.
You guys can unmute yourself
Heineken.
and
Sorry, what was
Sorry,
that?
Vipul. Is it Heineken?
No, no. Prasanna is right, but it's Bud Light, not Budweiser. This is Bud Light, which is a lighter version of what is already a fairly light beer. But okay. Second example, you look like you need a. Any guesses? You can just put it in chat if you want, like fill in the blank. What word would you ordinarily fit into that frame? You look like you need a break. And what brand would you look like you need a break suggest to you? Yeah, look like a drink also. Kit Kat, exactly. And just look at how it's done. So they find these benches because they look like the bars of the Kit Kat, and they cover it with half the wrapper so it looks like the Kit Kat bar. And this is something Kit Kat has used across a lot of different locations. Now, any guesses on what this is? What do you think the number one AI work management platform is? Good guess, Amritanshu. The answer will surprise you. No, it's not Notion, folks. Yes, it is Asana. And it is interesting because most of the people I know who've used Asana have somewhat unkind things to say about it, particularly the fact that they've just mentioned AI there without it necessarily telling you what it does and how it does it. But for those who don't know, yeah, exactly, there's no AI, it's just like a workflow thing. But Asana is essentially like a project management platform. It's used by a lot of product and engineering teams to track, the build of different products and features. But the point that I think I'm making with these examples is understanding that we have to be very clear and know what it is we're doing when we are talking about taking a brand to market and giving it the words, the visuals, and the messaging that drives a lot of the impact for customers. Because the first time that people will be introduced to your product, it's most likely that you or your team would have been responsible for creating that first impression. So, when we spoke about storytelling in our first session, we talked about these five things: targeting, positioning, value proposition, messaging, and social proof. And today we'll cover all five of these things with you. But before we get into that, there is a story, because this is about storytelling, that I wanted to tell you guys. So, in the early 1990s, there's a small lab in Parma, Italy, where also the ham comes from, where they were doing research into macaque monkeys. That's the picture in the middle. The scientist who was doing it is on the left. He has a very Italian name. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Now, the interesting thing that was going on is there's a macaque monkey in an MRI machine wired up, and they were looking at how the macaque monkey's neurons were lighting up when it was eating some nuts. Interestingly enough, while the experiment was going on, completely by accident, some random person saw that there were nuts inside that room, just walked in casually, went and grabbed some of those nuts and ate them within view of the monkey. Now, the macaque monkey completely froze. It was no longer eating those nuts, it was doing nothing at all. But it was still plugged into the MRI. And while it was watching the human being eat the nut, the scientists found that the same parts of the brain and the same neurons were lighting up as if the monkey was eating those nuts. Like there was no difference. They thought the MRI machine was broken. They actually complained about it, and then they had people from the MRI machine manufacturer come over there and look at it and try to fix it. But it turned out that that was normal because what was happening was that there are these things called mirror neurons. Essentially, it is hardwired into every human being, most monkeys, elephants, dolphins, and dogs, that if they see you or anybody else do something, or if they hear about it, the same neurons will light up in their brain as if they were doing it. The reason why storytelling is such an effective way to convey information across human experience, right, has been because when you are able to tell a story, you evoke a sense in the other person that they're living that story, that what is happening in that story is happening to them. And in so doing, you are able to make a greater impact upon their psyche. You are able to make them feel the things you want to make them feel. And that is where empathy comes from. The idea that when you hear about a story about a spider running over your skin, it gives you a slight sense of uneasiness. And the more vivid a description is, the more it puts you into the shoes of the person who is experiencing something, the more likely it is to have an impact. The visual is also really important because you can see on this image on the left, there are three circles: the red, the green, and the yellow. The red is what neurons get activated when you do something. The green are the neurons that get activated when you see someone do something. And the yellow are the neurons that get activated when someone tells you verbally about something that's happened to someone. And the fact that they're so closely correlated to each other heavily implies that your ability to convey this information effectively depends on these three things. How much can you make the person that you're saying something to feel like they're in the shoes of the people that you're talking about? Think about why, and this has been proven in research multiple times over, that when charitable organizations are asking for donations, instead of giving you statistics about what the impact would be or how many people would be helped, if they tell you the story of one individual about what their life is like and what they're going through, the rate of donation increases massively because your empathetic response is evoked. So it's important to know that that is the reason why storytelling is important. That storytelling is not an abstract activity, it's an activity with an outcome. It is a vehicle to make your audience feel something. And by making them feel the thing you want them to feel, and by conveying the information that you want to convey to them, you can influence their decision. And at the end of the day, all of marketing is about influencing decisions of other people. So now to move on to the five pieces that we were speaking about, which are targeting, positioning, messaging, and social proof. So in terms of targeting, l- understanding targeting is really important because it is the ability of you to know that there is some solution that you're taking to market and some pain point you're solving, but to break down the people you're reaching out to in much more detail. In our last session, we did an exercise, and those are the breakout rooms that Varun was referring to, and we shared some of those pieces with you as well, right? That if you look at who the audience for a solution like Swiggy would be, we were able to identify some, and some of the ones that were more commonly mentioned were, people like young professionals who are living at home. They don't have that kind of support system. They find it easier to order out. Now you realize that that is also targeting of figuring out a particular type of customer and understanding more about them and why they do something. So when it comes to targeting, identifying a group of people that you think should be receiving marketing attention, and then segmenting that overall group on the basis of demographics, psychographics, and behavior will give you the outcome that you want with targeting. Now, what do I mean by demographic, psychographic, and behavioral? Demographic deals with the basic reality of where people live, how old they are. Psychographic talks about how their attitudes are and what their outlook is, and behavioral is putting them in terms of how they behave in specific contexts. So, for example, if I'm trying to put together, and I think a lot of us are in the marketing domain in some form or the other, we would have all seen those personas that are done in marketing, right? Like when you say you identify a person, it is such. This is the person. This is the age they are in, age group they are in. These are the kinds of things they're going through. These are the problems they're trying to solve. These are the emotions that they're feeling. And so how you use targeting is from our exercise in the last session. If we take the endpoint of it being, those specific segments, right? There might be young professionals, there might be people having a party, there might be any number of other groups of people who might be ordering food off Swiggy. You build those customer profiles and add as much information about them as you can that is relevant to you, making that kind of profile a persona. You use those profiles to build those kinds of personas about how those people will behave, what solution states they offer, what are the alternatives, and what they want. So, for example, for Swiggy, the young professional, they behave because they are looking for convenience. What they want is the problem, the solution states they have in the absence of Swiggy would be cooking the food themselves or picking up a phone and trying to call a restaurant and make the order with them. And that is not convenient for them. That is why Swiggy is able to solve a problem for them. And essentially, that is what you're looking at, right? If you are able to do targeting well, the end point of it is you will know who it is that you're speaking to and want to speak to from a marketing perspective. You will know how they engage with the problem that you're trying to solve, and you know at what time you should be speaking to them. What is the trigger event that should be done? Should you be speaking to these people more at uh, is my audio bad? What's happening?
I'm not sure whether it is for
Folks, am I
me
audible?
only. It was going on and off for a while, but I think it's clear now. People are saying.
I think
Hmm.
it's clear. All right.
Sorry, man. Please go ahead.
Sorry about that, folks. Just no, no. Just like please unmute and speak up if that's happening. But anyway, the idea is that you also know when to reach them. So ideally, for example, if you're talking about a party persona, or like when you're talking about the use case being that people are throwing some sort of social event at their home or they're hosting people over, they don't want to cook for 8 people, so they're more likely to order on Swiggy. That is a segment, that's the problem you're solving. You know that they are less likely to be having a lunch party on a weekday than they are likely to be having a night party on a weekday. Or that if it's a weekend, that it's less likely to be breakfast and far more likely to be lunch and dinner. Or maybe I'm just the introvert, but that's usually how it goes. So, from that perspective, that is how you understand the things that are important. The why do they need your solution? The when they need your solution, and the how they are solving the problem that your solution is built for, which is suboptimal. Now, these will give you inputs that help drive a lot of important marketing decisions beyond that point. So the idea is all of this is going in a particular kind of flow, right? You've identified based on our market research session who the people are that you want to speak to, and now you're diving deeper into understanding them by getting a context on them on what is the point at which they are most likely or most amenable to deal with your solution. The next bit then starts talking about your product and solution, and the most important part of that is positioning. Positioning is foundational to understanding how to take a product to market. But first, let me ask you folks a question. Where are Rolls Royces and Maseratis as cars cheap? So, are you folks aware of Rolls Royce as a brand? I'm sure they're very popular. Yeah, Monaco is a good answer, but uh, I meant more in terms of, think about it this way, right? A Rolls Royce, and I looked this up. The models that are available in India cost roughly like somewhere between 7 and 10 CR. A Maserati, any guesses on how expensive it is? At plant selling exhibition. Interesting, Mihir. I will ask you about how what these plant selling exhibitions are and whether I'd be able to afford. Yeah, a Maserati is actually between 2 and 4 CR, but I'm sure there are some 1 CR versions now. But yes, Mihir, at plane selling exhibition, that's exactly the right answer. Because uh, these vehicles are relatively much cheaper next to private jets. So both Rolls Royce and Maseratis used to go to auto shows like all the other car brands. And at one point, they just realized that at every exhibition they go to, they're always the most expensive cars, and there is less demand for them in comparison to the BMW and the Mercedes, and that those brands were benefiting because they were not the most expensive entities in the room, that there were even more expensive brands like Rolls and Maserati around. So Rolls Royce and Maserati went to air shows where people were buying planes for anywhere between 4 and 30 million because they knew like a $500,000 car would seem much cheaper in comparison. So, positioning is about putting your product and your brand at a place which makes sense for you. How do you want your target audience to perceive you to maximize impact? And what should you do or say to achieve that perception in your target audience? That is a way to understand positioning. Now, if you look up positioning today, a lot of people will give you this kind of formula about how to come up with the product positioning, which will be what is the problem we solve, whom do we solve it for, and how do we do it better than the competition. Now, this is considered to be a great way or a great framework to come up with positioning. Buy one, get one free would feel odd there. Yeah, I mean, I think things like Rolls Royces and Maseratis, or private jets for that matter, buy one, get one free would be a little difficult to manage. But the margins on them are also quite high. So I'm not sure how that would work out. But that's usually seen more in like the food space, I would imagine. But in any case, when we talk about positioning, this framework of the problem we solve, whom we solve it for, and how we do it better than the competition was considered the gold standard for coming up with a positioning statement, which is just a one kind of place and one framing of what the positioning of your product is that was often documented, and it was usually the um job of the product marketer to do it. But then there is a great lady by the name of April Dunford. She is an expert product marketer who's written a great book called Obviously Awesome, where she's talked about positioning. And she said the problem with how we perceive positioning is that we're looking at it in this kind of narrowed down framework where how you are different is not really necessarily reading to the customer in a way you'd want them to perceive it. If you look at the old framework, we're saying what is the problem we solve, whom do we solve it for, and how do we do it better than the competition. It's not necessarily talking about how that difference is better for you as a customer. Now, when someone is looking at that framework, that is how they might frame it. But frameworks are usually just applied. And so she suggested a deeper way to understand that. You identify solution states, or like what would your customer do if you don't exist? You address your uniqueness and you talk about what sets your solution or product apart. You link that uniqueness to the value and talk about how does your differentiator make customers happier. Then you categorize strategically and say in which frame or context does your product win. And then you validate and refine, as in you don't make it something static. You keep trying to improve it. So let's take Swiggy as an example. Now we've gone through this process for Swiggy between the last session and today, right? So to begin with, what is the solution state? As we said, if someone is hungry and they want to get some food, they can either cook it themselves, they can either find a way to make instant food or have some other kind of food which is not a complete meal. They can try to order out, and within ordering out or going out, they have to pick a restaurant, they have to make a booking or set up an order, they have to deal with the inconvenience of setting that up. Those are the solution states. The next would be address your uniqueness. What does Swiggy do to solve this problem and how is it unique from all of these solutions? Swiggy conveniently connects customers to restaurants, serves them up what is available at that restaurant in an easy way, and manages the relationship between the two entities to deliver food as quickly as possible to the end customer. The uniqueness to the value is the convenience of it because it's a much simpler interface. It is easier for you to do, available or not is taken care of. And then categorizing strategically, where Swiggy talks about itself as something that is positioned against hunger, not as just a way to get food, is something that is how they've categorized themselves strategically. And you will see that they have refined their positioning over time. Now, the types of positioning are different. There's contextual, where you're essentially talking about in what context would you be required. So, if any of you have used Calendly, the contextual positioning of Calendly is the easier way to book a meeting because the context is in the flow of a point where two people want to set up some time to speak to each other. Calendly solves the problem because it just sets up a flow wherein someone clicks a link, they select a particular time, the other person has already indicated those are the times that they're free, and the meeting happens. The next is competitive, which is where you position yourself against the bad alternative. In this case, you just say that Calendly is better than you, multiple people suggesting different time slots until you arrive at the right time. So those are two ways of doing positioning, which are based on like the context of the use or positioned against a bad alternative. The other three are outcome, use case, and category. Outcome is basically you position yourself as a way to achieve that endpoint, like the fastest and easiest way to book meetings and have more meetings with people. The use case would be when you want to set up a meeting, when you want to set up a sales meeting, Calendly is the way to go. And finally, if we are talking about the category, we say Calendly is a meeting arrangement platform, which enables people to set up meetings easily. So those are the 5 different types of positioning. Um,
Thanks, Vipul. Can we go to next slide? Yes, so crafting a strong value proposition. We already, uh, so a strong value proposition is the foundation of your marketing strategy. All right. It's what sets you apart from your competitors and tells your customers why they should choose your product beyond uh, your competitors. So if you look at the definition, a value proposition is a clear statement that explains how your product solves a problem, delivers specific benefits, and why it is uniquely better than alternatives. In essence, it's the promise of value to be delivered to your customers. Now, if we classify our value proposition, we can do it in three. First one is functional, second one is emotional, and third one is social. Functional one focuses on practical benefits like, let's say, performance or quality. If we take an example of a smartphone, so smartphone with a long battery life appeals to user who need their devices to last throughout the day. That will be a functional. It is showing the performance of the smartphone. If you talk about emotional, it appeals to customers' emotion, such as brand prestige and aesthetics. I think when we were talking about cars and Rolls Royce, I think when you hear about them, it it directly goes to luxury and it evokes sense of status and style in you. And third one is social. So it highlights social benefits or status that comes from using the product, like community belonging and social impact. So the best example of community belonging nowadays is using iPhone. All right. I'm not sure it is anymore or not because nowadays everyone is going with iPhone. But back in the days, it was like if you are having iPhone, people clearly differentiate between okay, this is iPhone one, this is Android one. So it's a community belonging. And for example, social impact, we can take example of any eco-friendly products that contributes to environment sustainability. All right. So that will be example of social value proposition. Now, how you can create the value, strong value proposition. First one is identify the persona. So I think Vipul has already mentioned about how you can identify the persona. With that, you can create the detailed persona to represent different segment of your audience. It is very simple. I think we talked about it in the previous session as well. So for example, let's say we are talking about fitness app. So your persona might include someone like me, who is a busy professional.
Hi, sorry,
I think
folks.
something.
I got disconnected. I am back and sharing my screen in 3, 2. Let me know when it's visible, Varun. Sorry about that.
Yeah, works. So we were talking about the first one is about identifying the persona. So if we take example of any fitness app, so personas might be like a busy professional or fitness enthusiastic or someone beginner who want to start focusing on his fitness goals. Second one is understanding the jobs to be done. All right. Here you have to recognize the key task or problems your product addresses. So, for example, with fitness app, it helps you track their workouts, set fitness goals, and monitor their progress. Nowadays, some of the fitness app are also helping you with your nutritions. So this will be your jobs to be done. Third one is analyze the existing problematic state. Here, you have to describe the current pain points and inefficiencies faced by your audience. So let's say before using the fitness app, user might struggle with maintaining motivation, tracking their workouts manually. They are not sure about what to eat in terms of nutrition. They are not following their workout plans very effectively. So with this fitness application, you can solve all of these. Now outline the features and capabilities which your product will be providing and highlight those for you. So for example, your fitness application are providing, let's say, personalized plans. Okay. We where you are saying that okay, for every individual we will create personalized workout plan as well as your nutrition plan. At the same time, you can check your all your progresses. you know how many days you are going for a workout, how many steps you are doing on daily basis, what kind of weight loss you have. And some of the application nowadays are also asking you to put up your photos, so that your coach can directly monitor you as well. And at the same time, with your application, you can set some kind of motivational reminders as well. That is something which we all need. In the morning, if your application is sending me the motivation notification that hey, let's go ahead. So this will be your features and capabilities. And then it will be define the benefits and outcomes. So now over here, you have to explain the positive results of using your product. All right. So as we already said, that how it will help ultimately. So it will increase your fitness level, and it will give you great motivation to be fit more. All right. And ultimately, it will be some kind of sense of achievement that you will get. And finally, highlight your unique value and alternatives. Again, what you can provide more than compared to any other fitness application. So let's say you are providing some kind of user friendly interface, so application is very much easier for me to use. Other thing you can give is a community support. So you can say that not only you will be using the application, but there will be support of other members as well. All other members in your particular gym or in your community will also be over there, and you can exchange ideas, talk to each other. And finally, nowadays most of this fitness application are also have a great integration with your wearable device. Okay, if you're using Apple Watch or any other watch, it is very important that you are having integration to this as well. So this is how you can set your value proposition. We took the example of fitness application, but now let's take an example of very popular Netflix. You know, so over here, first thing you need to ask is who is the value for? It means who you are targeting. So, well, let's say for Netflix, you are targeting busy professional and entertainment enthusiastic. All right. Now, why is it important? Why Netflix is important for any busy professional? Because it gives easy access to wide range of entertainment options. All right. You can watch movies from different languages in India. At the same time, you can watch movies of different other languages as well. Not only movies, but you can also watch many traditional TV shows. All right. Next one is what was before the Netflix came. I think so many of you might have heard about this great company called Blockbuster. which was very popular before Netflix. What they used to do is they used to provide this rental physical DVDs, you know. So you need to go to store. From there, you can purchase the DVD and then you can watch it at your home. In India also, I think not any big company as such came about, but I have seen that there was so many small stores, in your city, which used to provide this. Before even DVD, it used to be on VCR as well, where they used to provide to you on the rental basis. You can subscribe to their TV service. One option was this rental service. Second option was subscribing to cable TV. All right. With cable TV, it was always a fixed schedules and limited content. So any show which you are looking at 7 p.m., it will come only at 7 p.m. The repeat telecast may come the next day, but it can't be like, okay, 10 p.m. Once you are free, then you want to watch the show. It was not possible. Then Netflix came into picture, and then what they provide. So they are providing on-demand streaming, personalized recommendation, a vast library of movies and TV shows, and ultimately ad-free viewing experience. These four are their main value that they are providing. As a result, because of Netflix, user enjoys convenient access to diverse content anytime, anywhere. Personalized viewing experience. Netflix algorithm is always constantly updating themselves based on what you are viewing in the previous time. The big advantage is there is no ads. In between there is no ads. You can directly watch the TV show. If it is 20-minute TV show, compared to TV, it won't be 40 minutes. You can get done in 20 minutes only. And ultimately, it is leading to increased satisfaction and relaxation for everyone. Now, you no need to be very much sure that, okay, if any show on TV is starting at 8 p.m., you have to be there at 8 p.m. All right. It is provide you relaxation anytime, anywhere you want to watch, you can watch it. And what are the benefits? I think we already discussed about it. What Netflix is provide is, apart from extensive content library, they are also providing their original productions nowadays. They are producing so many of their own shows. Their interface is way too good. All right. Their pricing, I won't say that competitive, but if you are looking from the rental point of view, you are getting so many more movies compared to those rentals. Right. It offers a competitive lower cost than cable TV as well, and original content compared to other streaming services. So in conclusion, this example illustrates how companies effectively use value proposition to connect with their audience by clearly defining and communicating what makes your product unique and valuable. In Netflix example, they want to be unique than Blockbuster as well as the TV operators. All right. And because of that, you can create a strong foundation for your marketing efforts. You can go next. Yes. Next one is effective messaging. People.
Yeah, so everyone, I don't know if, and like many of you watched it or are aware of it, but the time that Steve Jobs announced the first iPhone, it was absolute madness, right? Like Apple had been through a lot and Steve Jobs had come back. The iMac was doing well, but iPhone is the product that made Apple come back and become one of the world's most valuable companies after having gone through a substantial slump in the period between Steve Jobs' removal and his return to Apple. But the funny thing about that is, think of the announcement when it was first made. The messaging at that time was, and we'll just show you the video where that happens. The messaging at that time was that we've done something completely different and novel. And that was great messaging for the time. It is probably one of the landmark marketing messaging
But
events that have happened. Varun, yeah. So iPods were also a game changer, but see, at that time, iPods were like music, and the value that people were getting out of that music player was there, but it morphed into the iPhone. So at the point where iPod wasn't necessary anymore, and this is why the iPhone was such a landmark moment in marketing. But I'm just going to play this video, and we can catch up after. Let me know if it's audible.
We are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. It's got a 3.5-inch screen on it. It's really big. On the back, the biggest thing of note is we got a 2-megapixel camera built right in. It's thinner than any smartphone out there. And today we're introducing the iPhone 3G. It's really beautiful. It's got a full plastic back. It's really nice. The same gorgeous 3.5-inch display. Flush headphone jack, so you can use any headphones you like. It's really, really great. And it feels even better in your hand, if you can believe it.
And that's why I'm really excited to tell you about an entirely new version, the iPhone 3GS. Now the S simply stands for speed, because this is the most powerful, fastest iPhone we've ever made. It has the same great design of the iPhone 3G that we just launched last summer, but what's inside is entirely new.
Today, we're introducing iPhone 4. This is, beyond a doubt, the most precise thing, one of the most beautiful things we've ever made. And the precision of which this is made is beyond any consumer product we've ever seen. It is the thinnest smartphone on the planet. It turns out this is part of some brilliant engineering, which actually uses the stainless steel band as part of the antenna system. And so one piece is Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and GPS, and the other is UMTS and GSM. So it's got these integrated antennas right in the structure of the phone. It's never been done before.
I'm really pleased to tell you today all about the brand new iPhone 4S. Of course it starts with the Retina display. Of course it's glass in the front and back and has that incredible stainless steel band around it, making it the thinnest smartphone. Today, we're going to introduce iPhone 5. It is an absolute jewel. It is the most beautiful product we have ever made, bar none. It's designed and built to an exacting level of standard, unlike anything we or anyone in our industry has made before. This is iPhone 5S. It is made of a high-grade aluminum with diamond-cut chamfered edges. The team has carefully considered every detail to make this the most beautiful phone ever made.
These are the new iPhones, the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus. They are without a doubt the best iPhones we've ever done. Introducing the iPhone 6S and the iPhone 6S Plus. The iPhones you are about to see are the most advanced iPhones ever. They are the most advanced smartphones in the world. This is iPhone 7. It's the best iPhone that we have ever created. iPhone 8, a new generation of iPhone, and a huge step forward.
iPhone 8 has the highest quality video capture ever in a smartphone. This is the most powerful and smartest chip ever in a smartphone. This glass is the most durable ever in a smartphone.
This is iPhone 10. It is the biggest leap forward since the original iPhone. This really is the future. This is iPhone XS. It is the most advanced iPhone we've ever created. This is iPhone 11, the next generation of iPhone, and it is jam-packed with great new capabilities and an incredible new design. The iPhone 11 Pro, and these are the most powerful and most advanced iPhones that we have ever built in a stunning new design. So now, I'd like to show you the very first iPhone with 5G. Introducing iPhone 12. We want to take it even further with our Pro line of iPhones. And here they are. This is iPhone 12 Pro.
So just to kind of close that out before I hand it over to Varun to continue talking about messaging, it's really important to have good messaging. It is, and I think the messaging from the first time that Steve Jobs was laying out his vision of a all-in-one device that was not just a smartphone, but a media player and was a intersection of so many other consumer devices, it was truly revolutionary. I've never been an Apple fan, but I mean, even from just a pure play marketing perspective, it was so amazing to see that happen and to see the impact that it had in the way we've made consumer decisions since. But every year, they make the best iPhone, the most advanced iPhone, the most precise iPhone. They have to update their messaging at some point. And somewhere, I think between 6 and 6S, they stopped saying that it was the most advanced smartphone in the world, because I'm guessing by that time, Samsung or someone started beating them to that punch. But after saying all that, because Varun is a Apple fan, I'll stop talking and has an iPhone. Go ahead, man.
I think Rima, you're right. Powerful as well. I think every time they are saying, and I realize after watching the video, after first few iPhone, they stopped talking about the material as well, aluminium, steel, and everything. Nowadays they are not even talking about it. But the more funny thing was, people have stopped the video at iPhone 12 only. There were three more iPhone launches that happened, and I'm sure all in all three of them, it was again more powerful, the best iPhone ever happened. So yeah, as I think we already discussed that what messaging involves. It involves conveying your product's value, to your target audience through clear, compelling, and consistent communication. When I say consistence means there are different kind of channels that you will be using, online, offline, even in every brand communication. Your messages has to be very consistent. All right. So one good example of consistency will definitely be Nike. Through and throughout, it is just like just do it. Okay, just one message, just do it. It is showing everything, like their value prop and everything. And whenever you hear this, just do it, you will directly resonate that with Nike. No other brand will come close to that. Yes, again, with iPhone, it was powerful phone, and as people already mentioned, it was the first of kind of its phone. So at that point of time, messaging was very correct. But nowadays, as already we are seeing, they're overdoing it. So now, what are the key strategies when it's coming to creating the effective message? I think knowing your audience, we already discussed about it. Let's not go there. Second one is consistency across all the channels. So clear and concise messaging. So over here, try to consider your product's value into concise sentence. For example, if you're selling a productivity app, you might say, stay organized and boost your productivity with intuitive app. All right. Your message should be straightforward and easy to understand. We should not use all those jargons and instead we just keep our language very clear. All right. So what next one is consistency across channels. As we already discussed, there will be different kind of communication channel, and consistency will help build your brand and recognize it very easily. So for example, Nike's just do it slogan is a masterclass in consistency. This message is present in their ad, social media post. If you go to their website, and even on their boxes, when you get the Nike shoes, even on there also they are writing, just do it. All right. So third one is use emotional appeal. All right. Emotional appeal can make your messaging more impactful. With emotional appeal, you can connect with your audience on an emotional level and help you build a stronger relationship with them. So if you heard about this recent campaign by Dove, where they were talking about body positivity movement, so their real beauty campaign, they bring all the models of different sizes and they want to talk about body positivity. So this actually create emotions in the minds of consumer, you know, and that way they are not just using the brand, but they are also recognizing the brand for their emotions, and that is very important for any brand. So emotional appeal. Sorry, can you hear
What
me?
happened, Varun? Yeah, we can hear you, man. All good?
Yeah, the screen was frozen. Sorry.
We're all here. Please go ahead. I think you're
Okay,
a little patchy, but go on.
sure. Cool. Second one is highlight benefits, not features. So focus on the benefit your product provides rather than just listing out its features. So let's take an example of GoPro. All right. So GoPro emphasizes the exciting experience user can capture in their cameras. They never talk about key you can go into the mountains and this kind of lenses we have. You know, this is water resistable or anything. But instead, they are saying that how it will benefit you wherever you go. You can go along with your GoPro. So list the features of your product and translate them into benefits. You know, directly not say that these are the features, but instead say with these features what are the benefits it will be for the end consumer. All right, can we click next?
Can you see it, Varun?
Yeah, now I can. I think there is some lag in the internet, I'm so sorry.
No worries, man.
Okay, so there are two examples of unclear messaging and clear messaging. So on the
I
left
don't
hand
think,
side, first one,
sorry to interrupt you, Varun. What I'm doing is I'm sending one of the messages on the WhatsApp group because I think on the slide it's not coming out that clearly. But I've
okay,
tried to send the second example, but I think you can talk about the Fletch PMM one. Varun.
yes, all right. So on the left hand side, you will see Slack where it says made for people, built for productivity. You know, all the jargons they've used, and I think when Fletch PMM has shared this post, they have written like what is the VC funded company would do compared to what is the bootstrap company would do. So over here, the message is not very clear that what Slack is all about. Slack is a messaging app for your business folks. You know, in any company, you can share documents, you can easily chat among each other. But over here, it is like made for people, built for productivity. So the message is not very clear. On the right hand side, if you see, there are different examples. So in the first, I think even I'm not able to see the image.
So the first one
Just a
says
second.
one app to replace them all. So it essentially then lists out the product categories that it's covering.
Product categories.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, they are saying ClickUp, you can directly manage your task. You can create whiteboards. You can chat among your teams. You can create documentation. You will have your own dashboard. So over here, they are directly listing out the product categories through their messaging. Second one is rippling, where they are directly saying for which team it is very beneficial. So magically simplify HR, IT, and finance. That's it. All right. It is very clear for which team it is beneficial without using any jargon. Third one is again example of iPhone. Over here, they are showing the most important product, which is their iPhone itself. Nothing. They are just saying iPhone 15 Pro. All right. Few other examples. If you can zoom in. Yeah. Another example on the right hand side is about Stripe. So if you go to the description, first title is financial infrastructure for the internet. If you look at the description, they're clearly saying what kind of product they have. First one is accepting the payment, send payouts, and automate financial processes. All right. So over here, it's very concise and directly talking about the benefits it will show. And about Notion, I think we were discussing earlier about it as well. Your wiki, docs, and projects together. All right. With Notion, you can do every single thing. Project management, you can do with that. All the document management, you can do it with that. And so many of the people I have seen, they're using Notion for their portfolios as well. And now with AI and every other update they are providing, it is one-stop solution for every team. Yes.
Varun, can I cover the image if you don't mind? The one on the right?
Yeah.
So, folks, this was something that a colleague of ours, the same one who listens in from the gym, saw during lunch today when she was looking to order a cake. And at that point, she was trying to order a fruit cake. And when she looked at this description, she shared it with me. And if you see what, part of what we've said about messaging here, right, is to your target audience. And it's really important to keep that in mind and not get lost in trying to sound flowery or interesting linguistically. Talking about the quintessence of freshness with exquisite fresh fruitcake is not giving the information that someone who's looking at a fruitcake would want. which is what are the fruits in the fruit cake? Because I might want specific fruits. I might want that to be slightly sour or very sweet. But if I don't know what fruits are in my fruit cake, then I don't know what I'm ordering. So it's very important that when you're coming up with messaging, you continually focus on your customer. You focus on what are the things they want. You focus on what are the questions they will need answering in your messaging to make that purchase decision. Don't get lost in your absolute desire to use the word quintessence because you know what it means. It does you no favors. So it's really important that when we're talking about messaging, that you remember that it is purpose driven and it has to achieve an outcome. And that outcome is making your target audience want to buy your product or service. Sorry, but I feel very strongly about that bloody fruitcake. Go on, Varun.
All right. So finally, let's talk about social proof. Can you go to next? Yes. It is a concept of leveraging the influence and actions of others to build credibility and trust for your product. This is the definition. In simple word, people tend to follow the action of others, especially when they're uncertain about a decision. Let's say today I want to go to any restaurant with my wife for a dinner. First thing we will see is what rating people have given them on Google Maps, as well as on Zomato, Swiggy, everywhere. You know, so this is how your audience will speak about you, and that will help other people to make the decision. All right. So how effectively you can use social proof? So these are very simple. First one is get the testimonials. Second one, reviews and ratings. Then case studies, social media mentions, and endorsement. All right. We'll go one by one. When it is about getting the testimonials, it simply means ask your users to talk about your product, how they feel about it. All right. You can have testimonials if you go to any website nowadays. You will have testimonials on sometimes in text format, sometimes in video format. You know, and for most of the B2B products, it is very very important. You know, if any industry leader is talking about your product that they have used in their company and how it is beneficial to them, you know, it will create some kind of trust into the new merchant. Second one is reviews and ratings. So encourage your customers to leave reviews on your website if it is possible on social media and any third party platform. Let's say if you are running any restaurant, it is very, very important that people are giving reviews and ratings on platforms like Zomato and Swiggy, because people nowadays will first go there and then will make the decision whether to order or not. Second thing, engage with reviews, both positive and negative, to show that you value your customer opinions. So for if anyone is putting review on your Google Map and if any admin is not responding to them, it will not look good. And especially respond to a negative review with helpful solution. Get 10 solution can turn a dissatisfied customer into a loyal one. Basically, we have seen with cash payment particularly, people are leaving comments everywhere. Even if our CEO is posting anything about the company, people will also put comments over there कि मेरा payment अब तक नहीं आया हुआ है on his own post. So it is very very important that our customer care team will go there and put out the statement that okay, how we can resolve your thing. So reviews and ratings is very very important. If you have any application, it is very very important that your uh, or users are putting review on App Store and Google Play Store as well. Third one is about case studies. Case studies basically means detailed stories. So develop case studies that detail all the challenges faced by your customers and how your product provides the solution. All right. Over here, you need to include specific metrics and outcomes to demonstrate the effectiveness of your product. All right. So, for example, recently we did case study with one of our merchants called HUFT, that's the hotels. All right. It was a video case study where they have went through the entire problem statement, what they were facing on their website about payments, and how cash free helped them to bring the solution for this. So over here, you have to detail out every single thing. Next one is leveraging of social media mention. All right, you have to track and highlight positive mentions of your product on social media. All right, over here you will be getting the user generated content, share posts from your customers using your product. This not only provide social proof but also make your customers feel valued. All right, if someone is using your product and they are talking about you on social media, even they are writing a tweet or putting it on Instagram, you need to use those content and reshare it. This way your customer will feel valued, that okay, these guys are considering my effort, and at the same time it will help your brand ultimately. And finally, it's about endorsement. All right, nowadays you can do endorsement through some kind of industry experts, and the most popular one is influencers nowadays to endorse your product. For example, uh, again, if you are into health or fitness, you will find so many of those influencers who are specifically into health category. They're talking about it. All right. One more thing in endorsement, which many B2B companies are doing, is they are highlighting the certification, awards, and recognition your product or your company has got. All right. So it is also very, very important that use all these things as a marketing material on your website, on your social media, in every single distribution channel that you are using. Next, Google. Yeah. So over here is the great example of Airbnb. Yeah. In the first image, you will see that people have added the review about the particular property. They have talked about how is the location is, what was their check-in experience is, what amenities they are providing, every single thing user are writing about the particular property. Now, if any other user is trying to book it, they will first look into the review, and they will feel that whether they should go for this property or not. This will create the trust of the user, and they will finally make the decision based on this. The next image, can we go a little right, is about the case study. So Airbnb are not only doing reviews of the user, but at the same time they are doing case studies with the host as well. So how hosting has helped me pay for a new kitchen and other upgrades. So basically, again, it will create emotions to other hosts. And at the same time, in the user mind, it will also tell you that Airbnb as a company, it is not only focused on user, but at the same time they are equally responsible for their host benefits as well. And third one is again from the Google Play stores, and people are giving ratings and as well as writing the reviews. If you go to any marketplace nowadays, not only uh, Amazon, but Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, first thing people will see is rating and reviews. Even if they're buying uh, any 200 rupees t-shirt, they first want to see that what kind of rating people are giving to them. And what Myntra nowadays are doing is they are also providing you facility to upload your own picture with that article. So it will directly show me that okay, if I am going to wear this, how it will look, because on the model of the picture it will definitely look good because of their physique, but I want to see that what how it will look on my kind of physique and my kind of personality. So this is very, very important, that you are having this entire functionality where you are encouraging your user to give you rating, give you reviews, and it will benefit you as a business.
But Varun, I just wanted to ask you something. And we were talking about this in the chat as well. So you were referring to this, right? Like there is a requirement for the review to be something that people believe in, and that it should, the details, for example, of the people wearing that same item of clothing, because it gives people a
Right.
more readable and a more accurate understanding of how it will seem to them. So, what do you think are good ways of building out testimonials, case studies, etc., that are more believable or plausible to the audience?
Sorry, people, I lost you.
Sorry, man, it's Janet. I was just asking, so when as a brand you are generating some of these like case
Hmm.
studies, like
Right.
testimonials, social mentions, etc., will come from the user.
Hmm.
But when you're
Hmm.
generating studies, how can you
Hmm.
try to make sure that they come across as genuine? Because that is very important, right? It has to feel relatable and real. So how do you avoid the
Right.
feeling of fakeness?
I think then, so I will give you a live example. So
Mhm.
what we are doing at Cash Free Payments. So basically, whenever we are approaching any brand for a case study, it we are also going with some kind of metrics, through which brand has been benefited, and at the same time we will figure out that okay, this kind of metrics will help other in making decision as well. So when it comes to payment, it's mostly about success rate, let's say. So when we did a video with HUFT, they also mentioned that they have a great success rate with cash free payments. All right, so it was, and it backed by the data that okay, who is paying on HUFT through cash free payments, they are seeing the good amount of payments going through. It is helping them, and at the same time, it is helping us as well. So you have to figure out that what kind of key metrics you want to talk about as well, and based on that, you have to build the entire story where it won't look like it is fake, because they are also talking about the right metering, and at the same time, the end merchant who want to make a decision, it is also applicable to them.
So it has to be a mixture of a qualitative and quantitative thing. So
Quantitative,
ideally,
exactly.
if you show some numbers and that brand also validates that, like with the heads up for display piece, right, where there was a good success rate, and so the person at Heads Up for Tails mentioned it's that's the ideal way of putting it together.
Right, right.
Interesting. So, folks, thank you so much for your patience. We know this has been a long evening for you folks, and apologies for the internet trouble at both my and Varun's end, and for the random zooming in on images. But would love to get any questions or queries that you might have. Thank you, Omkar, for spending your Wednesday evening here. We're looking forward to seeing you in Bangalore soon. But folks, any questions, please just let us know or raise your hand, or we can close for the evening as well.
We have already, sorry, Upul, I think you already added comments in the chat, all the questions that has been asked.
Okay, that's a fast 1 second. I'll just go back to positioning because we've just been asked to talk about these 5 types of positioning. So let's take one example, right? Amya. So actually, Amya, go ahead. Just can you name a company or like a brand? Pick something that I like people would be familiar with, so it's easy for me to also come up with these positioning examples. Amya,
Yeah,
are
you
you there?
can
You can
just unmute
unmute.
yourself.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we try for SG, the bad company, as the World Cup is going on?
Okay. So think of it this way, right? Like contextual would be at a moment where the bat would be used, right? Or the person would be choosing a bat. So contextual would be in the use case or in the flow of how it would be chosen. So then you would say something along the lines of your position is at the right choice when you're going to play the innings of your life, for example. And I know that's halfway going into messaging because that's slightly overblown, but that's how you'd position itself, the right choice. Because you'd have to choose a bat at the point time that you're going to bat, or that you're choosing a bat from the store. Competitive would be that you say it's a better bat than, sorry, I'm not like a cricket person, whatever the other batting companies are. And there the positioning could also be towards a particular type of material. So some bats will be made of some wooden, there would be some different way of treating it, there would be some polish, or there would be other aspects of it. So you identify the other, and that comes from your uniqueness. So if someone has come up with a way of putting together cricket bats that make them better than other cricket bats, or at least are claiming as such, then they will contextually call it different. And that's how the contextual bit would be in the use case. The competitive bit would be arraying it against an other. Okay. So yeah, I'm sorry, maybe SG was not the best one. Outcome would be you can hit the best boundaries. Use case would be when you're going and the last wicket is left and you have to make 24 runs in 1 over. SG is the bat you choose. And category would
Vipul,
be that in,
Vipul, I
sorry.
think you can use the example of Reebok instead of SG
Mhm.
because I think Reebok has positioned themselves knowing that they were not much of a sports equipment kind of a brand like cricket bat. They went more into sports apparels and athleisure because they saw a gap in that as well. So I think maybe if you may use the example of Reebok, maybe in this case.
No, but I was almost done with the five, so Reebok, I'll have to start from the beginning. So I think I'll close that out, and if you don't mind, I'll move on to some of the other
No worries,
questions in
no
the
worries,
chat.
no worries.
Yeah. And so category that you're talking about, like saying you're the number one cricket bat in India. So Amaya, broadly, that's how you would use those positionings, right? They are a dimension with which to perceive or to drive the perception of your product. So I think that's the way it should be looked at. Um, would you like me to go into more detail, or does that help?
That helps. Thank you.
Great, Amaya. Thanks. Varun, can you help me figuring
One
out the
question,
next question? Yeah.
yeah, one question is from Surbi. While connecting social proof, how do you approach customers for testimonials without seeming intrusive? Very, very valid question. Uh, so I think first I would say is you have to choose the right timing. Because if so, what in a two examples I will give you. One from B2B side. So we always look for those. First one is brand name, which is definitely something which we want. So if that big brand name are getting positive out of our product or not, and once we figure out that okay, these are the key metrics even they are looking for, after that we are approaching them, you know, and while we are approaching, first be very sincere, very appropriate, try to reach out to the right POC. It is very, very important as well. Express your gratitude of them using your product, and then explain the purpose that why you want to uh, do this case study or any testimonials. You know, it is why it is important for you, and how it will contribute in improving your product. It should not just look like you, okay, this is one social bit we want from you, and it is just we will distribute it across everywhere, but how it will help, and all your feedback, how you will also consider in improving your product. Third important thing is make it very easy for them. Just don't say shoot out random email that okay, we want to do video or give us few lines from you. But if you can provide some kind of guidelines to them, or some kind of question uh, which you already have, just send those questions to them. It will make their life easier. That okay, now it is only few questions that I have to answer, so won't take much of their time as well. If all of these things are not working, finally you should offer some kind of incentive, you know that sometimes can work. It is like okay, how it could be beneficial for both the parties. you know Incentive should not always be about money, but let's say you can provide them some kind of discount as well, that okay, if you give us any testimonial, we will make sure that you are getting 10-20% discount on your next purchase with us. All right, or some kind of exclusive opportunity also you can provide to them. So that you need to do. And I think it will take some time, that I can say. So try to follow up with them, on the regular basis, through different means. Yeah, I think this is what mostly has worked for us. I hope I answered your question, Subir.
Yes, Varun, I'll try these out and then share an update. Thank you.
Just to kind of add to that, Surbi, there's also like, I mean, there are different points in time when you should be asking this. The aha moment is usually a good time to ask customers. I think what Varun said about incentivizing it is like a mixed bag. I think the ideal way to do it might be if you are talking about a B2C product, for example, then you should just say that anyone giving a review, positive or negative, that incentive should apply to them. Like they should also feel like it's genuine, right? So it
Right.
would seem intrusive if someone says, I really liked your product, and say, okay, give me a review. Right. So that's also one thing. I think a lot of companies also do this to kind of qualify because they also don't want negative reviews to happen.
Negative review.
They
Yeah.
Yeah, so they usually have like a feedback mechanism, right?
Right.
So people like giving feedback, like people like being heard. So if you say that, hey, Can you just rate us on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 for like an MPS perspective, or would you
MPS service.
recommend us?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you see those people have given you a 10, they're the
Hmm.
right people to say, hey, would you like to give us some feedback also? You'll get a discount. So then it feels a little more even handed. So there are
So we
things like that you can do.
so we approach the promoters essentially, and then try the incentivizing activity. Okay, got it. Thank you.
The next question.
What are the touch base required for starting a GTM, region-wise or state-wise in India for B2B product?
Omkar had also asked for any insight on white papers versus infographic. Let's do that question you just mentioned first and then go to that.
Just a second.
Zoom chat keeps refreshing and moving me further up, and
Yeah,
then I have to
exactly.
scroll down, no? Yeah,
Suddenly I'm going up.
that's what she said. Actually, no, that's not what she said. Anyway, but any insight on white papers versus infographic? So, Umkar, that would depend a lot on your audience. Like if you're looking at something that has, it's a very large segment of people, then infographics make more sense because you would want to make information as accessible as possible. The amount of time people will spend on it will likely be less. White paper is when it's B2B, when you want that to be very hard hitting, when you want there to be a lot of data. So it depends on in what case, what is the kind of decision being made. If it has to be a very well thought out, complex decision, a white paper is probably better. If you're trying to generate more awareness and it's more top of the funnel, then I think an infographic would make more sense, but that varies. Sorry, what was the question you found, Varun? I can't find it. Yeah, like this chat scroll is
I
really.
lost it
Garima, what
again,
are the
but
touch base
from
required
Garima.
for? Yeah, go on. I
No,
found
no.
it also.
I refreshed again for me.
What are the touch base required for starting a GTM region wise or state wise in India for a B2B product? So, Garima, if could you help us understand firstly, why are we doing a GTM region wise or state wise for a B2B product? Is it a physical product or is it something that requires, like, is logistics a concern in terms of delivery of the
No,
service?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So our product is a SaaS product. So we have sales team tracking and visibility. So currently we are running international projects as well, and we are trying to cover each and every region, like statewide to the cities. So that's what I'm handling right now. So I just wanted to get into more of it.
See, it's an interesting question, but like where I'm coming from when I asked you, my response to it was, why, if I don't know how much region wise or state wise would ordinarily be a constraint. Usually, B2B SaaS products would be focused on solving a particular problem. Now, it could basically, the way I would go about it, and I'm sure Varun will have a lot more to add, would be first identify a customer persona, identify how many of those customer persona are in my region if that's a limitation. So instead of targeting being a function of really breaking down your total addressable market or the people that you need to go after, the demographic part is already clear, right? That if I'm going after um, steel manufacturing companies in Bihar, then it's only the state of Bihar. So then I need to identify those steel manufacturing companies in Bihar. I need to then identify what are their pain points and then build out that persona. Everything else usually follows from that. And for B2B products, it's more the sales cycle are longer. And since you mentioned that there is sales and it's being done region wise, I'm guessing the SaaS product, the currently like it's not very digitally easy to acquire customers, which is why you're going with sales. In which case, a lot of it will depend on what the sales cycle look like, what is a good way to drive top of funnel awareness. But broadly, when you're a product marketer and you're looking at these problems, you break it down into smaller steps and break them down one by one. Right? The questions you answer is, what are my constraints? How do I achieve the goal that I want to? If that goal is I need to start a region wise GTM and get X number of customers in that region, are there enough customers? What conversion rate would I need? What conversion rate do I ordinarily get? Which is the right channel to do this? A lot of it that is very contextual. So, but that's how I would start. Varun, anything you'd want to add?
No, I think totally agree with you, Vipul. What more we can do, Garima, is if you are available, let's discuss offline about it. In that way, you can give us more context as well, and me and Vipul can give you better ideas about it. I hope that
Sure,
fine.
that would be great. I will be interested in that.
Sure.
So I hope my chat doesn't refresh, but Suresh's follow-up question on Surbhi's question was how to deal with clients who are very hesitant to share reviews even after having good experience. They would want to stay anonymous, and that doesn't give us the social proof we want. Suresh, like, I think it's very clear to me, at least as a immediate response to what you're saying, that if someone is not willing to do that, then you don't do it. You don't put their name up. Like, there's no universe in that, and pushing them or persuading them is when I think what Surbhi was pointing out about it feeling intrusive becomes greater. Like, it has to feel genuine, and people will only genuinely do it if they feel like it. If they have any hesitation, then you give up on that and you take anonymous social proof for what it's worth. And I think for a lot of B2B use cases, a lot of case studies and social proof is not, it is kind of anonymous. Like, you say stuff like leading company in this space. You don't actually name the brand because there is an approval cycle for that brand as well. So you take what you can get. If someone's saying, I will only give you an anonymous review, say, okay, sir or madam, please give anonymous review at least. If they're a B2B company, then you identify the category, and wherever you can, you say company in this category or this size of company or whatever makes sense to you. Like, if you're an HRMS software, then you'd say number of employees in the company. If you're a SaaS company, then you talk about what line of business they are in. Whatever identifier works best, you try to put that identifier in so they're more relatable. Obviously, it would be much better if they were willing to, say that they're the ones who are giving that review. But if not, don't. I would suggest not pushing it.
Exactly. I think try to find new customers, rather than going after these one who are declining your proposal. So I think other than that, Vipul has already covered everything. I was just about to ask this question. Answer now.
Omkar has asked, what is the right approach to request clients to review us on G2 Capterra? Oh, see, Omkar, this is a great question. It's very specific to a type of use case that I will be dealing with soon in a couple of weeks myself. But I think part of it is a the, this is not like really a numbers game. I mean, even if you get 3, 4, 5 reviews on platforms such as that, that's a great start. Part of it is to make it as easy as possible. Set up, if you have a customer base of say 50, set up calls with, I mean, speak to salespeople who are managing those accounts or who have visibility, identify the top 10 or like, the top 25 percentile, set up calls with them and say, we're just doing research. We want to hear your feedback. Note down all the feedback and say, hey, if I write up a shorter version of this, would you submit it on G2 or Capterra for me if it's positive? So that they also feel that, I mean, there'll be kind of, we've bought into this because they would have just said it to you. And if it's positive, then you can turn that into a G2 Capterra review. So that would be what I would try, at least initially. Varun?
And one more thing we haven't discussed is automating this review journey. That also helps many times. So specifically in B2C, where you are dealing with, let's say, thousands and millions of users, you won't be able to go to each and everyone and ask about their review. In the B2C side, it is very, very important that how, let's say, on third party or anywhere, they are reviewing you. So instead of trying very hard from your side on the manual basis, it is very, very important that you put some kind of automation, in journey itself, user journey itself, that after this you will trigger those messages that, hey, review us on Play Store, review us on App Store. If they are using some kind of your plugins, you can also prompt some kind of messaging on the screen about review. So I think, yeah, on the B2C side, try to go for automation as well. And same you can do for B2B as well. But when you are dealing with some kind of big B2B merchants, I think automation won't work. Over there, you have to do some kind of manual intervention.
Did we miss any question because of the terrible chat?
I
I think we
actually
just.
dropped off in between. I dropped
I
off in between, so my chat is entirely clear right now.
Ah, damn. No, I can't find any other questions. If someone has a question, please just unmute and ask. I think Amritanshu had a comment that G2 has a much longer journey to submit feedback. Captara is much shorter. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's absolutely true. And in Captera, it's actually like G2. It's actually painful to get it done. That's been a reason for concern. But that's why I think at least I've seen most products that are on there, unless they're super popular, don't have those many reviews. So they have a few, but getting those many, you have to find the right promoter of your product to, nudge them, ask them, like find your friends, like find people who are using your product and say, please do it. And that's super useful though.
I remember there was one application called Smart Look.
Hmm.
It was very similar to Hotjar, if any of you might have used it. So they also wanted us our review on Smart Look, and again it was on G2. So the entire review form, it will take us almost 30 minutes to complete the review, and they knew that not many people will give their review, so they started incentivizing us with their free plans. They were like, okay, we are already giving you free trial for a month. You liked it? We were like, yes. Give us a review, and we will give you 2 more months for free. So exactly. So that's how it is not, when you say incentivize, it is not always about money, but you can incentivize them through your product only. For getting this kind of review, it's no harm in giving them some free trial, some free credits. And I think it might work.
And Amritanshu also mentioned that LinkedIn has a product recommendation option. But see, Amritanshu, it's about the kind of people who are looking for G2, looking at G2 as a recommendation platform. It won't be interesting or relevant for them. Like they will not be on LinkedIn. So there is some delta there. But yeah, it's a valid point that can also be leveraged because it's much faster. Any of folks were past time? Are there any other
Just a
questions?
second. I think Dilip has asked the question, but we missed it.
Oh no.
Dilip, are you
Okay.
there? I think Dilip is not
Can
here
you,
right
if
now.
you can see
I,
the question, just
I,
read
I,
it out.
if anyone else can see the question, please read it out. Just a second. I'm so sorry. We were just checking the question in other laptop.
Can I read the question that Dilip has asked? I'm able to see it in the chat.
Please, thank
Yeah,
you.
please, Survey.
Okay, no problem. Given that any marketer will have too much to do, how should one approach the social proof which maximizes ROI for different companies and industries?
Varun, do you want to take a crack at this first?
No, please take it.
Okay. So he's not there, but this is a great question to ask. And I think largely you have to identify and figure out what is the best place to put in your time as any sort of marketer, whether you're product marketer or digital marketing. So I would want to focus on social proof if I'm seeing a lot of entities enter into my marketing funnel but not convert. So it would be identifying what is a problem to solve. The same way jobs to be done works for identifying a product and a solution. I think marketers should also be looking at what is the right job to be done at that point in time. If right now my problem is that I'm not able to get enough leads, then maybe social proof is a relatively less important thing than driving campaigns or putting landing pages or running performance marketing. If I am getting lots of clicks on performance marketing but not enough conversions, then maybe that journey should have social proof as an input somewhere to drive those conversions. So it is diagnosing the problem first. And even if you're spending some percentage of your time in the meta effort to find where you should be focusing your attention on, you should constantly be doing that, putting in that effort, because it will save you more time in the long run. So I would say to, Dilip, that if he's questioning whether or not he should be expending effort on social proof, that's a great question, but he should take a step back and ask a deeper question of what should he be expending his effort on? What is the problem to be solved for now? And that's how they should figure out at the point to solve it. Is social proof the biggest problem right now? If yes, solve it. Is demand generation the biggest problem right now? focus on that, then come to social proof. So you have to identify which is the point in which you need to be acting.
And adding on to what people has already suggested, once let's say you figured out that social proof is something we need, there are five different things we talked about: testimonials, review rating, case studies, social media mention, and endorsement. Figure out what is lowest hanging fruit, which can, with lowest effort, can give you maximum results. All right. Let's say you are doing some kind of automation of getting reviews and ratings where there is no manual intervention is needed. You should focus on that first. But again, as people said, keeping in mind what kind of industry you are serving. Okay. After that, you will definitely go for social media mentions. Once you have enough time, enough money to spend, because endorsement will not come cheaper. If you are going to any influencer, it will definitely cost you money. But once you have those with you, and if your business goals is aligning with that, then you should go for that. So first you have to figure out that what is the main problem, as we already mentioned, lead generation or social proof, that whatever you wanted. After you figure that out, okay, I want to go for social proof. Based on the industry, figure out that this is something which will generate maximum ROI. So for example, for any B2B company, let's say reviews and ratings of their application, which not many people are using, but they're still concerned about what kind of reviews people are putting on Google or App Store. It won't help them. Instead, if they are doing some kind of case study or any testimonials, written or video, it will definitely help them more. So you also prioritize what you want to go first. I think Dilip is not here, but I will pass this message to him.
If there are no other questions, or if anyone can find scrolling through horrible Zoom,
Yeah.
please let us know. Otherwise, I think I can go have dinner. What are the different ways of social proofing? So, Pranay, I think Varun was talking about the 5 different social proofs, and I'll just put it on screen. You have testimonials, reviews and ratings, case studies, social media mentions, and endorsements. And by the way, this is just like an attempt at capturing the classification. The most important one might be word of mouth. The
Yeah.
most important one might also be that you're at a networking event and you've got someone who likes your product. They're saying, "Oh, Varun, you're the guy who's selling me that cool cross-border thing. Come here, I'll introduce you to make my trip." So, social proof is just our way of trying to classify it into these more digital focused ones. But there are many different types of social proof. And Varun, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I think. Folks, any other question? I think they're also waiting for us to close the session so that they can go for a dinner.
Word of mouth worked wonders for Zerodha. Exactly, Amaya. And I
Yeah,
think there also it was very community driven because a lot of folks who were investing at that time were speaking to each other. In fact, there's this whole thing with GameStop and Reddit and investors in the US, where these guys all started investing in GameStop, which is a dying company trying to sell games physically at a time when you can just download them online. And they've driven up the prices of the stock. They've ruined a couple of short sellers and PE firms. It's crazy. But yeah,
the documentary is live on Netflix if anybody wants to watch it. Yeah, fourth hit show is pending. Yes, Ajay. The fourth one, we will announce the date soon. And yeah, usual thing, we will send out the recordings and all the resources to you guys very shortly. And fourth date, we will announce very soon. And there are a few other initiatives as well, which people are messaging us about. The career one, I think, where almost more than 50 folks has already applied for. Give us some time. I mean, people are figuring out few things, and we will reach out to each one of you individually.
I think Varun, it's at that point where people are just where we're just awkwardly
Yeah,
extending the conversation. Thank you so
exactly.
much, everyone. It was really lovely for all of you to be here, and we look forward to having you in the 4th session. I think Varun's already given you a sense of what comes next. We will be sending out an email with the recording and other resources tomorrow. Take care and good night. Thanks,
Thank you,
Dipali.
everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Good
Bye-bye.
night. Bye-bye.